Hey guys, we're going to be doing area of circles and partial circles. So one thing I want to make sure you know how to do is access your formula chart. So normally what I put in here is star reference math 7. Okay, and even I misspelled it, it doesn't matter. It's still going to come up. Star math resources. I'm going to go down to 7th grade, and there it is. Okay, so we want to make sure we know how to access this. So there you go. So, and we need this today because we're going to be working on area of a circle. So there is area. Come down here, and we have area of a circle. A equals pi r squared. So remember, A equals pi r squared, that's going to cover a surface. So as we get started, if you need to pause the video, do that, and I just need you to get a sheet of paper and make sure you have a pencil. Okay, so once you have your paper, we're just going to draw a circle, and I'm going to put a line through it. Okay. So, oh, and let's write that formula. Pi r squared. Okay? So remember, before you can do area of circles, you have to make sure you know what this is. So what do we call that length? It's the diameter, right? So in this case, we're going to use a diameter of 16. So I'm going to use a different paper, but it's going to show the same information. Okay? So hopefully you said, again, this is the diameter. It goes all the way across. Now, if you notice down here, I broke this paper up into 4 sections. Okay? Because we're going to find area of a whole circle, a semicircle, a quarter circle, and a 3/4 circle. Okay? And we're going to do that from the same circle each time, just so that you can see how simple that it is. So, if my diameter is 16, that's not going to work, right? We need radius. Remember, radius just goes to the center. Okay? So, how long would that be? What is the length of the radius? Hopefully you're saying r equals 8 inches, because the radius is half of the diameter. Okay? It goes from the center to one point on the circle. So our radius is 8. So over here, we're going to start with area of the whole circle. Okay? So let's write that down. Whole circle. Okay? So I'm going to start with my formula. This is how I do it every time. I'm a teacher. I know this by heart, but I still do the same thing every single time. So remember, pi, if you don't remember, look back at your formula charts. Pi is right there, equals 3.14. That's what we're going to use. Okay, that's an estimate, but that's the estimate we're going to use. So I'm going to substitute in. So instead of this symbol, 3.14, and the radius is 8, and I do that to the power of 2. Okay, so remember, formula, substitute, and then we go to the solve. So 8 squared, what does that mean? What does 8 squared equal to? Hopefully you said it's equal to 64, because 8 squared is the same as 8 times 8. It's that number twice. Okay? So it's 64. I was supposed to put 64 there and I didn't. Oh well. Okay. So your job right now is to multiply that. And when you multiply it, you then have the entire circle. So right now, I want you to multiply that. and see what you get. Do that by yourself. And then I want you to see if you remember what your units are supposed to be. So check your answer against mine. Did you get that? These are the right digits. Now double check your decimal. 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Now, what did y'all get for your units? Hopefully you remembered it's inches squared. And I always remember that because in the formula it's squared. It covers a surface. These are our units for area, okay? So right here we have area of the whole circle, okay? So now we're going to come over to the side and we're going to do area of the semicircle. Now, since I already know the entire circle, I'm not going to go through all of this again, okay? So remember, a semicircle is half of your circle. Okay, we only need that much. Okay, so I want you to think a second. If we know this is the entire circle, how would we find the semicircle? What would we do? Hopefully you said we divide by 2, because that's how you take half of something, okay? Semicircle, that means we have a half circle. So let's line this up. 200 divided by 2. And since there's no decimal here, I'm just going to put my decimal right there, okay? So what I want you to do now, carefully divide it, and then choose your answer. So remember, when you're dividing, you want to try to show your work neatly. I kind of messed up here, but I went back and double-checked everything, and this is what I got. So you take your whole circle and you divide that by 2, and that's how you find the area of a semicircle. So I'm just going to put that here with my units, inches squared. Okay, so if you want to make yourself a note, just put divide by 2. Okay, so you take the whole circle and divide by 2. Okay, now down here we're going to do a quarter circle. So quarter circle, you take your whole circle, and a quarter means like a fourth. So we divide it into 4 parts, and I'm just going to shade one part. Okay? So remember, up here, we basically had 1 part shaded out of if there were 2 parts total. I could go on and complete that circle, even though it's not a great picture, but there are 2 parts here. I have 1 of them, so I divide by 2. Here I have 4 parts, 1 of them shaded. So for a quarter circle, we do the same idea as the semicircle, but instead of dividing by 2, we divide by 4 because there are 4 parts. Okay? So our whole circle, remember we got that right there, 200.96 divided by 4. And again, there's no decimal here, so I'm just going to move it up into the answer. So your job is to carefully watch your places and divide carefully and neatly. Do that now. And then this is what I have, 50.24. And I bet you know your units now. What are our units going to be? Inches squared. Okay, so that represents 1/4 of a circle or a quarter circle. Okay, and last of all, we're going to do a 3/4 circle. And before I move on, let me go on and write down here what we did. We divided the total by 4. Divide the total area by 4. Okay, so now let's come over here to the 3/4 circle. So there's a couple of ways you can do this, okay? I tend to do what I'm about to show you, okay? So 3/4. 1, 2, 3. So I want you to think a second. These two pictures look pretty similar, right? But this is 1 part shaded and this has 3 parts shaded. So remember, based on what we did, we took our whole circle, we divided by 4, that gives us 1 piece, okay? Which would be the same as this piece right here, okay? So this 1 piece is 50.24, or 50 and 24 hundredths inches squared. That little piece is. Well, I have 3 pieces just like it. So if I want to, I can take 50 and 24 hundredths and add it 1, 2, 3 times, or I can just multiply it by 3. Now what you need to remember is you don't take the total area and multiply by 3, you take the 1 section. So that means we had to divide by 4 to find the quarter. We multiply by 3 because there's 3 parts. So I want you to multiply that for me right now. So I got 150 and 72 hundredths. And so what are our units? Inches squared, right? So what would be our description? Don't just put times 3. What's first? Divide the whole by 4. Then multiply by 3 because we have 3 parts. Okay? Now, the other way you could do it, there's actually other ways we can do these too. So you can choose. I tend to go with this method because I feel like there's actually less chance to make a little mistake, but that's a matter of opinion. So what you can do is 3/4 is the same as 75% or 0.75. So if you wanted to, you could actually multiply this by 0.75. Now this just happens that my decimals are lined up. It does not have to be that way. So now I'm going to multiply this quickly, so hopefully I don't make a mistake and we get this answer. So 5 times 6, 30, carry the 3. 5 times 9, 45, plus 3 is 48, carry the 4. 5 times 0, 0, plus 4 is 4. 5 times 0, 0. 5 times 2 is 10. Hold my spot. 7 times 6, 42, carry the 4. 7 times 9, 63. 63 plus 4, 67, carry the 6. 7 times 0, 0, plus 6 is 6. 7 times 0, 0. 7 times 2, 14. Hope I did not make a mistake because I don't want to redo this whole video. 0, that's 10. Carry the 1. 7 plus 4, 11, plus 1 is 12. Carry the 1. 7, 0. 5 plus 4, 1 plus 4 is 5. And a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. It worked out the same either way. So, again, I usually choose divide by 4, multiply by 3, but if you want, you could multiply this one by 0.75 and get this answer. Officially over here, you could multiply by 25% because that's 1/4. Take that number, multiply by 0.25. You could do that. So, your choice. Good job. Thanks for doing this with me. Hope you learned something about area of circles, semicircles, quarter circles, and 3/4 circles.